It feels weird being on camera with the clothes on.
Not got your dick out on camera.
No.
It's the first time for everything, mate.
Yeah. To be fair, I've just been using it as well.
I heard, yeah.
Rebecca Moore. Do you know Rebecca Moore? That's her.
Okay. Right, okay. And this was today's episode.
Mate, that was literally about an hour ago.
Really?
So I've gone from looking at her and having her lick me bum like a stamp to looking at you.
Sorry.
Beauty and the Beast. She's the beast.
So you are pretty much every single day you're shooting something.
Yeah. And I reckon it's about 6,500 scenes.
Is that a record? I read somewhere you're like the most, like the guy who shot the most scenes in terms of being able to trace it all.
Yeah, because it's a lot on IMDb and that and stuff like that. And obviously on Brazzers alone.
Yeah.
Because I've been contracted with them for 15 years.
Fucking hell.
So that's a lot of bums, vaginas and mouths that I've seen. And obviously some of them scenes got taken down for various reasons. But yeah, there's about 1,600 just on Brazzers. Okay. Then there's Digital Playground, Reality Kings and some of the other sites that the company has.
So I haven't even introduced you because we're just going naturally. But for those who don't know, this is Kieran Lee, one of the biggest known porn stars in history. You know, like I said, you hold the record. You're well known because you had your cock insured for £1 million by your company Brazzers, who you work very closely with. And take us through today, right? Earlier today. You turn up, tell me how it goes.
Literally, today, I've woke up, I've texted you my excuses to get here, and then I was like, I have to shoot Rebecca because Beck was only in town for so many days, and so I was like, I have to shoot with her because we were doing a content trade.
So you do one for yours, she does one for hers.
Yeah, so we both keep it, and we both sell it on our platform like OnlyFans, and so we both go away and we both make money from it. And for me now, doing the content trades, I just kind of work with the girls that I really enjoy working with, you know, no stress, no drama.
What is it that as a performer that you're looking at going good versus bad? Like, what are the things that you don't want to have to deal with?
See, for me, I just don't want to deal with divas and drama. Do you know what I mean? Like, you get some of the most beautiful girls and they know it, and it's like, don't do this, don't do that, don't be fucking like, you know, drawing stills. And it's like, listen, you're a guy, you have to keep the blood flowing down below and things like that. And some girls are a bit like, and I get it, it is our job to keep our dick hard, but sometimes, you know, a little bit of help just edging away and things like that can be a nightmare.
So an attitude, so to speak.
Yeah. And it can be a big turn off. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. And that for me, I'm like, I don't really need to be doing that, especially at my stage in my career now. Before, I just used to smile and go, okay, no problem. Yeah. Now I'm like, hurry up.
Because in the industry, from everything I've been researching, you're known as kind of like Mr. Nice Guy. The women really like working with you. You've got a great reputation amongst the ladies. Yeah. In a sense of like, not in a sexual sense, obviously, but as a person, they like you. Is that a deliberate thing that you've sort of always tried to be, or has there been times where when a girl's given you shit and you've just been like, enough of that?
Yeah, there is. I think they just like my dad bod. No, there's been one or two girls where I've been like, I'm like really pushing me to a limit. And I said one time there was a young lady that I'd worked with numerous times before, and we're doing an anal scene. And she's pooped on me once, she's pooped on me twice. And then the third time I'm sat, and she's an English performer, she's sat eating a bag of cheese and onion crisp. So you'll understand that it's not smelling the best already. She's telling her she's had a curry the night before, and I'm thinking, I'm doing her up the shitter. This is going to be a long day. And so, anyway, I've put it in, I've pulled it out, and it looked like I dipped my dick in Nutella. I have just gone, you can have that back, and I just flicked it at her face and walked off. And that was it. That's probably not my most diva-ish moment I've ever had on set, just because I'm thinking, a bit of respect, you know. I'm going balls deep in your bum.
Okay, so for those who don't understand though, like, this is a process that she should have been, like, performers for women who do anal scenes, the night before, I'm assuming they have to do stuff.
Yeah. So a lot of the girls, they stop eating at like 6, 7 o'clock at night. They'll clean out their bum. They won't eat anything, you know, no coffee or anything in the morning. Then before the scene, they'll just check the bum again, clean it out. And if it's a long day, these girls are, you know, they're on set, they're not eating anything. So they maybe have a few gummy bears and things like that because it's clear and it goes straight through. But yeah, no, there's some of the girls are very, very professional. Like you could eat the dinner off the bum.
Fucking hell, son. I love it. What a wild life you fucking have, Jesus. Different. And you're actually well known to be good at anal.
Yeah, the American girls love a bit of foreskin, and so I don't know. It feels better for them. I think
really?
It's like the little sleeve.
So today, you've gone to this scene, and how quickly from entering the door are you inside her?
So me and Bex, we've shot many a times, and like she's unbelievable. She makes any man feel like a king, and so we have this running thing. Like she does a lot of like role play stuff, secretary, and like Bex, this is me and you. We just fuck. So literally, she texts me and she says, "Right, I'm heading up." She walks through the door, and she just dropped to her knees straight away, straight at it. And then everything was all set up, ready to go. 35 minutes. Shot my bolt. Right, here's a baby wipe. And then we just had a chat. How you been? What you been up to? That's how I do it. That is the porn world. You can go from being balls deep in a 30, 40 minutes ago to then asking her, did you have a nice Christmas? What else have you been up to? You going away this year?
There's an interesting dynamic with you. When I was looking into your character, I was like, on the one hand, you're this lad's lad who's, go to the match, support your team, have a pint. But then you're living like in LA, you like a bit of Botox, you look after yourself.
I love that.
Yeah, but like, and is that a bit of a conflicted thing? Like, because when I go back to Newcastle, even living in London, sometimes I feel like, this is the real me.
Yeah.
And the version of me in London is this sort of sanitized version that
watered down.
Yeah. Do you ever feel a bit like that?
Oh, 100%. Yeah. But the thing is, I always look at this, I've always been a shepherd, not a sheep. And I've always like, you know what? My missus said, why don't you try Botox? Yeah, why not? And I did it. I like the look of it. Yeah, I'll do it. All my mates are brickies, joiners, electricians. I'll go back out. I get absolutely rinsed. I've been to Turkey. I got my hair done in Turkey. Yeah. The first thing I've done, in LA, everyone's like, oh man, that looks so good. And then I go back to Derby and they're like, what the fuck have you done? And they're pulling at your hair and going, I get the receipt, it looks shit. But I love that because it keeps you grounded.
Fucking right, it does.
And I can't, I've met so many people out in LA and I never get starstruck or anything. Listen, for me, you eat, bleed, shit and piss the same. And that's how I've always looked at life. And the only time that I've ever kind of got a bit starstruck is I'm open book. I've got a little boy and my son plays for the Juventus Academy.
Wow.
Yeah, he's a good little player. He loves the black and white,
Yeah.
And I'm going, his manager looks familiar. And I'm looking over, Alessandro Del Piero.
Wow.
It's not a bad coach, is it?
One of the best Italian players ever.
Yeah, Del Piero.
I mean, it's really hard to tell your son what's what in the footballing sense when he's listening to Del Piero.
and then trying to watch Derby.
This is a real team.
Yeah, come and watch this. Yeah. And I've got to admit, I've kind of lost him a little bit to Chelsea. It kills me. His favourite player is Mason Mount.
All right, yeah. In terms of being a dad in the porn industry, how hard is that? Because if there's one thing I've learned about porn stars in watching loads of these interviews before this is how they struggle to be accepted by regular people.
Yeah.
And then you're interacting with, I'm assuming, your son will have mates at school, how do you do that?
I'll be really honest, I never wanted children. Because of my profession, I just thought it's not right. I just thought, not that it's not right, I just thought I don't want my son growing up to be bullied and oh, your dad's this and your dad does that. And I just didn't really ever want to put it, my child in that position. And I was really against it. And then me and my wife, she got pregnant and she lost it. But it was a bit of a, I'm like, oh, well, I nearly was a dad. I really liked that feeling. And then she got pregnant again. I was like, and I had my son and that was it. And I was like, you know what? People just have to accept it. And I'm going to have that chat with him when he's older. And it's a chat that I'm terrified. That's the one chat that I am going to be petrified to do. That's going to be the hardest moment, I think, of anything of my life.
I respect that.
Just because it's like, especially with today's, generation, it's like everything's on the internet, It's not like you're in the schoolyard and having oh, your dad's this and you have a bit of a dust up. Over here, it's more mentally, it's like online, it's texting and cyberbullying and things like that. And that is a big worry that I have. But then on the other hand, I think, I'm not doing any harm. I've got 3 children. And they have the best life, they go to a private school, they don't want for anything, but I also teach them the values, like now, like my little boy, he has to do his room for his pocket money, like the old kind of values. And the thing that I've always stuck to now, and I think is dying, is chivalry. I don't think enough guys, do things for like ladies. So my little boy, obviously he has his sister. If his sister's cold, he knows, give her a jacket. You don't ever play fight with your sister. That's my biggest rule. You never lay a hand on a woman. That I really don't agree with. And so it's little things like that. And it'd be quite interesting, obviously doing what I do, because people will look here and go, he's a porn star. He's disrespecting women all the time. He's choking them in a scene or slapping them or, doing whatever. That's Kieran Lee, the persona. It's not Kieran the father. Do you know what I mean? There's 2 different lives, and it's very hard for people to get their head around that.
Yeah, I think you guys must suffer from a lot of discrimination.
Brutal.
It must be bad. Brutal. I heard one female porn star compare it to being a pedo. She said, I get treated as if I'm literally molesting people or whatever.
Worse.
Whereas I'm literally just with consenting adults doing a job that it's the dirty little secret of the internet that happens to be the biggest thing on the internet. Yeah. And it just kind of shows the hypocrisy of the world we're living in when everyone condemns these people and yet everyone watches them. If you look at YouTube views and then look at porn views, there's no comparison. Like I seen one of your videos because I went and had a look. I went, what's the biggest viewed video on this website that has your name in it? It's like 50 million views. Like I don't have a single video that's got 50 million views. You know what I'm saying? Like
the crazy thing, if you look on like my like a PornHub ranking, it shows you how many video views that you've had of like all time, and I think mine is at 1.8 billion views.
There you go. Yeah. That's talking like that's like it's insane. Yeah. And it is funny that people will do that. And going into this prejudice and the way people talk to you, you said it was worse than even. Like, what have you experienced that made you feel that way? One
time it was, I helped out like a family just getting tickets for a football game, and the people that I knew that got the tickets only knew me through my profession, and they got them the tickets, and they had the best day ever. The kid had the best day ever. And then afterwards I got an email saying, thanks so much for sorting the tickets, but we'd appreciate it if you didn't mention that we got them from you, as we don't want to be associated with your kind. And I'm like, hang on. Yeah. What is my kind? Yeah. The kind that I stayed up all night to get you the tickets, to make sure that you guys could have the best day possible. And it wasn't just a normal ticket in the stand, it was like an executive box and stuff like that. And I'm thinking, my kind. And I spoke to my mum about it, and she's like, you should, do this and say this and go on social media. I was like, you know what, it's not even worth it. Because the backlash that I'll get from it will be, oh, what's a porn star doing anything, with a child in that aspect? Like, oh, you're sorting tickets for a child. And it's just that kind of people's mentality. And it's like, you know what? Just keep my mouth shut. I've done my good deed. The big man upstairs will know. I'm all right.
In terms of the family dynamic, is your missus in the industry?
Yeah, kind of. She does her own OnlyFans page, but first and foremost, she's a mum, and she's a brilliant mum. Like, people think, a porn star couple raising children, people are, think, oh, they're going to be exposed to this, that, and whatever. We're probably even stricter with our children.
And going back to the conversation with your son, for example, have you thought about how you're going to word that?
No, I'm not. And that's something I think me and my wife want to sit down together and say, hey, look, mummy and daddy do this. Because he does notice already when we go to like the football match, I don't know, 20, 30 lads, can we get pictures? Can we, shouting, singing a song and everything like that. And for me, I'm like, this is brilliant. But then also I'm thinking, I've got to protect my little one. Do you know what I mean? Because I'm very wary. I don't want people taking pictures of him, posting it on social media and things like that. Like I had it before once. We were just having breakfast in Vegas, and the big group of guys, and you could tell from the corner that just taking sly pictures. And I was like, look, I don't mind it. I said, lads, I understand you're trying to take a picture. I'll have a group photo with you. Just please delete the ones of my little boy, because I just don't want his face out there, because I'm very worried about, all the parents judging, like him not being allowed to maybe go round to a friend's house just because, his parents do that, or they're not allowed to come round to ours because, his parents do that. And that's a big worry, a huge worry, because we did have one instant where we had a barbecue, and mums and dads had came, and I'm very low key, when I go to school I have a hat on, or just my wife will go. And one time we had a barbecue and parents were there, and they were there till 2-3 o'clock in the morning, absolutely rip-roaring drunk. And all of a sudden they've gone home and they're texting, is your husband Kieran Lee? And then my wife's just put, monkey face emoji, hands, and we've been watching his stuff for years, oh wow, we didn't know if it was him. So it's like that kind of then awkwardness. It's like, okay, just been having drinks in a bar, a burger with these people. Now, she's sat home flicking the bean to me. It's a bit it's awkward.
Inescapable.
Yeah, a bit awkward.
Fucking hell, mate. And the thing I think will help the situation, maybe, so many people are normalizing porn.
Yeah.
That I just feel like your son's going to grow up in a completely different generation where, to get a picture of a girl who with her boobs out, for example, has just become the easiest thing compared to when this all started online. Have you noticed a difference since? Yeah,
it's like I said, it's a double-edged sword, because it is becoming more accepted. Because look, during COVID you had Sharon from wherever now starting an OnlyFans, and she's making however much a month. There's a good example. There's a girl that's on TikTok, Becky Goodwin. I think Becky Goodwin or Goodwill. She was a single mum, struggling to get by, created an OnlyFans. Now she's on to buying her second house, third house just from OnlyFans. So I think it's gave some single mums maybe hope. But then I also see the girls go, I'm just really worried about, if I do this, I'm never going to find a guy and things like that. And my advice is, listen, live your life. Well, you don't want to be living your life then to be reliant on a man. Do what makes you happy.
It is tricky for them, I guess, because for men out there, obviously you're a very liberal, relaxed sort of attitude, and it's so nothing for you. But there are some men, I think a lot of men actually, who it would freak them out a bit if they if they like a girl and they're like, but people can buy pictures of your tits out there, that's a problem. The possessiveness that every man has a little bit of, and all of that.
Alpha male, isn't it? It's like, I've seen you on video getting smashed by Kieran Lee, Danny D, and it's like, I'm never going to be able to do that, whatever. And it's it's a dick envy thing and things like that. I see it with girls in the industry that it'll get in the biz, and then all of a sudden they'll get a boyfriend 6-7 months line. I'm only doing girl now. And it's like, okay, you're not taking dick on camera anymore. No, my boyfriend doesn't want me to. Okay, that's fine. So,
can you tell me, those early days of porn, what that was like for you?
Oh, wow.
How long ago was it? 20 years?
Yeah, 20 years ago. And it was interesting. My first ever scene was in a car park, a dog-in car park in Derby. This company, couple at the time, come and meet in Derby. I thought it's the lads winding me up. And I still remember chucked my trackie on, I've gone for a run, and then all of a sudden they're at the car park, a McDonald's car park in Derby, Mark Eaton Island, and they're like, we're in a green Mondeo. I'm like going, okay. So I've gone over, like that, and I'm thinking, I've got to do it now, I can't back out. and jumped in the back of the car and gave us a condom and cracked on. I'm looking at my old boy and thinking, Jesus Christ, I've never trimmed that thing in my life. Like, because, you know, back then you weren't thinking, I'm going to trim my bollocks. Like a little overgrown forest. And I did brilliant. And they were like, oh, can you come back next week? I was like, yeah, great. So that was it. And then I was like living the dream. And I was banging all these MILFs and getting paid like 150 quid a time. And I'm like, Jesus, this is great. And that was it. So,
what was the oldest woman you've done?
She's got 78.
Fucking hell, son!
No, this is the this is the best one. This is actually a grim story.
How did they even get wet at that age?
A lot of lube, and tears.
Your tears?
Yeah. No, I remember we kind of got. I don't know if we got tricked or not, but it was a scene in England, and I remember me and my mate, and they said, oh, we're working with this really hot MILF. I'm like, oh, okay, great. So we've rocked up, and I remember driving all the way from Derby to this shoot, and we've walked through the door. This little old woman's opened the door, let us in. Hello, sweetheart, how are you? Oh, yeah. So we've gone in, and we've gone to the producer. Oh, Mike, where's the girl? Oh, you didn't see Eileen when you walked in?
Eileen.
I love Eileen. And I'm there going, that's the girl. And he's like, yeah. And I'm thinking,
the girl?
Oh. Well, yeah, and she was doing 2 scenes, one with me and one with my mate, and we looked at each other. He goes, I'm not doing it. I was like, come, we've driven all this way. And he's going, you're not right in the end. I was like, come on, let's just crack on. So we flipped a coin to see who did the scene first, and I'll never forget this day. He lost the bet, and he did first, and he did reverse cowgirl, so she was facing away. He did spoon, facing away, and he did doggy, facing away. And I remember he's going at it, and she's come off his dick and she's gone to kiss him, and he's gone, cut, we'll have none of that.
Wow.
And
like then, a kiss off the granny.
Yeah, it's like that. And that was it. And then he finished the scene, and he's come running up the stairs, and I'm in the shower. He's like, move. And he started being sick. He's like, oh God, she's disgusting. And I've gone, oh. I don't know.
Was she grey haired? Are we talking?
Yeah, grey, and like pussy piercings that made it look even like a proper set of curtains.
Fucking hell, mate.
It was rough. But anyway, so I'm there going, oh, it must be really bad. So I'm thinking, I've got to go. I've gone into a really dark place now. I'm thinking the most disturbing, naughty thoughts I've had. I'm watching porn before, and I'm like, my dick was like a lead pipe. So I've gone down. I've done this scene, and I've gone through her like a train. She's like, they're filming it thinking, gee, is she going to have a heart attack? And I remember it was all vag, and I'm doing it in the last position.
Jesus.
And all of a sudden I'm like, what's that smell? And everyone go, cut. I've looked down. She shit herself.
No.
Everywhere. And she, oh dear, can I get you a baby wipe? I'm like, yeah. I think we'll just do the pop shot now.
Wow.
And yeah, so yeah, that was a bit of a grim.
She's probably dead now.
Probably, yeah.
Fuck me.
Imagine, died by the cock of Kieran Lee. No.
Jesus Christ. That is not a normal story.
No, it's not.
That is not normal, that, mate. That's a first on this show.
Yeah, it's a bit different,
wow.
Isn't it? You used to, YouTubers, boxers and everything like this. Now you're talking about old women shitting themselves.
Wow. That is fucking insane. How? I wonder how you got there mentally. Do you know what I mean?
I can switch off. I don't, like this. I did an article years ago. It went everywhere. People think, oh, this porn Casanova, he can last hours in bed and everything like that. When it's working, I'm like, yeah, okay, because I know I have to open up for the camera. I have to make sure the light's in and all that good stuff. When I'm at home with my missus, I 2-pump jump it. And this went everywhere last time. I was like, oh. And I remember it was in the sun. Porn super stud last 2 seconds in bed. I'm like, flop in bed. I'm like, great.
I guess it's a bit like for a normal guy where, when you first meet a girl, you're really trying to make a good impression. Yeah. But if you're 2 years into a relationship, it varies from day to day. Yeah. And I was assuming that's a bit like that. Like on camera, you're putting pressure on yourself.
Yeah.
But you must have a really strong mind, like, and because it becomes almost an athletic event, what you're doing. I mean, how much of it is sexual arousal versus athletic performance? Percentage.
I think about a lot of it is now just knowing your body. It's like little things. Is like, I know what gets me hard. I know positions that I enjoy, in positions that, you know, that are comfortable for me, that's going to keep my dick rock hard. And like you say, you can go through a different mindset. I can really just switch off. And not a lot of guys do, because all they're worried about is, am I pleasing her? Am I doing this? And, you know, in your personal life, you're like, oh, am I doing a good job? Is she enjoying that? Where with me, I'm thinking, okay, I've got this covered. I've got that angle. Yeah, okay, I'm good. Okay, the girl looks good. That's one of the biggest things, is like, you know, you maybe want to cover something here, or, you know, it's not a good angle there. Let's move her into a different position. So you're constantly thinking, it's like tactics, like the tactic board. Like, okay, I'm not going to play with a 4-4-2 today. I'm going to play with the back three and go like that.
As in, like, you know the go-tos.
Yeah. And like I said, it's got to that stage in my career that I know I'm comfortable with what I'm doing. I can sit in dick in hand and talking to the crew. Oh yeah. Oh, what you doing this weekend? Oh, you're doing that. And like the biggest one is, I can sit and watch the football while I'm doing the scene. So if Derby's on, game over.
That's mad.
Like I said it before on podcast, Derby gets me hard. You know.
So in terms of like, because you spoke about Mike Malak earlier, and obviously he had a long relationship with Lana Rhodes, and he was telling me, like, for a woman, for their female performers, well, I mean, you know, he had a vested interest in the situation, but he's obviously spent a lot of time with female performers as well. Yeah. Like, how much of them do you think it's athletic versus sexual arousal? Like, do you think, are there certain, because I feel like the girls who, as a watcher, there's certain performers who I'm like, you really fucking love this. Yeah. And that's why I want to watch you more. Because for me, there's some girls, there's a girl called Adriana Chick. Yeah. She makes it like,
loves it.
Yeah. I'm not watching her for what she looks like as much as her personality, of what a slut she can be.
Yeah.
It actually gets you more into it than where if I had a girl who was like my ideal woman. You know, like, how much of them do you think are just putting it on, and how much of it is real?
Some girls are great actresses, you know, in the industry. You know, they can make you out like a king, and it's like, oh yeah, fuck me harder, do this and that. As soon as that camera stops, all right, see ya, bye.
Really?
I was like, oh, I thought I was like a Greek god a minute ago, and now I'm just like, you know, Mr. Bean. No, but like you said, and like Mike, I think he's brilliant. Like, you know, I felt really bad for him actually when he first started dating Lana, because I would presume it's quite hard for him coming in, because, you know, celebrity, and he's in the limelight. And I'm looking on my Twitter every day, and I'm getting him tagged in tweets with Lana getting railed, and I'm thinking, he doesn't want to see that.
So people were tagging him in videos of Lana.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I think that's sad, but
it's jealousy though, right?
Yeah, it's jealousy. Yeah. And I think, I think he handled it brilliant. I think he really did, because you don't want to be checking, you know, this is what he does for a career. He's, you know, social media and things like that, and checking his phone every day, and all you're seeing is your missus getting railed. His mental strength would have been brilliant, and like, you know, he's moved on from that, and he moved on from Lana, and he's living the dream now, the boy.
Well, actually, this was kind of a learning experience for a lot of people online, because of Mike's close relationship with Logan Paul. They realised, when we have Lana Rhodes in our videos, the videos do fucking unbelievable.
Yeah, crazy.
And what that proved to the new generation is, porn stars can be celebrities too. Yeah. And this was the first time where, in my experience, I'm you know, you've been in the industry a long time, where they've stepped out of the sort of shadows of porn, where it's like you're a big deal but in porn only. Yeah. And now we've got girls like Riley Reid and Lana who are becoming influencers in their own right.
Well, that was it. And I'd say the Logan Paul podcast opened the doors for a lot of the girls in the industry, especially like Riley. Riley's huge. She's a superstar now. Everybody knows who she is, and I think it's now becoming, like you said, it's views. People want views, so they go, okay, you know what? This girl gets X million views on her videos. She's got a fan base already. Let's actually find out what this girl's like without a dick in her mouth. Pretty much. Yeah. And now they're like, oh, she's actually really cool. And then, like you say, these guys get to know them, and then it starts getting a little bit...
It's fucking difficult, isn't it?
It's hard.
I don't know if I could handle that.
And that's the thing. And I think a lot of guys are like that. You know, a lot of these guys are like, oh, I like the idea of having a porn star girlfriend, but they don't know the baggage that comes with it, you know, the constant media abuse of dick in her ass, or oh, I watched your girlfriend, you know, typical keyboard warriors.
Well, I mean, on the Lana thing, she came out and did an interview, video, basically just denounced the whole porn industry and said it should be illegal. I mean, that's probably someone who's quite scarred from all of it at this point, I guess.
See, I put a tweet out probably 6-7 months ago, and I'm like, okay, I understand, you know, it's not for you now, but my big gripe is, you still call yourself Lana Rhodes. That's not your real name.
Yeah.
Delete the Lana Rhodes persona, because you don't want to be reminded of that such a horrific experience daily, but you've built a brand from it now, and you've built a good life from it. You're making great money from it. But if you don't want that, get rid of it. And I know it's hard to say, oh, just get rid of your whole brand and everything that leads you in a comfortable life, but I don't agree with just talking crap. There's
been a couple of huge, like
Lana,
Mia Khalifa did it.
But then you look at, for me, the biggest inspiration for girls is probably Riley Reid. This girl she's conquered the industry. In my eyes, she's a true porn star. Lana was a flash in the pan. She did, I don't know, maybe 100 scenes, if that. Mia, 4 or 5 scenes. I can't even remember
how big she became.
Yeah, she blew up because of, you know, wearing the hijab type thing and that. But for me, Riley, she started from the very bottom in the industry, worked herself up to megastar, made millions and millions, but still has that respect for the industry. She will never turn her back on the industry. Now, you know, she's a mum. She's, you know, she puts it online, and she's brilliant. And I think a lot of girls should look to her and aspire to be, you know, like her, not ashamed of what you've done, but use it as you know, a great business model. Like her, Angela White, them girls I think are unreal.
I'm a fan of Angela. Shout out. How was she?
Angela, unreal. For me, she's in my top 3.
Oh wow.
You know, and I love big boobs, but I've always been a fan of tits on a stick. Don't know why, just always been my thing. Angela's a curvier girl, big boobs, but man, that woman makes, like I've said it before, makes any man feel like a king. It doesn't matter who she's working with, she knows how to push the guy's button to make him, you know.
What? I think there's a thing there that even ordinary women who obviously aren't pursuing a career, but there's the trick there that some of them miss out on. Yeah. You know, because obviously my experiences with ordinary women, and you know, and it's not that they, you know, a lot of women get criticised for being like laying there because they don't have the confidence. Yeah. But with that confidence, when a woman knows how to unlock a man the way that these women can, they just have them wrapped around their little finger.
That's it.
Yeah.
And that is like Angela, but in a good way. I've never seen the girl take advantage in any situation of a guy's having a rough day. She will turn that day around and turn it from a rough day into a sunshine day.
But that's an interesting point though about taking advantage, because these women have some men kind of obsessed with them. Have you seen women who've like, you know, because there's this new thing where women are taking money off guys, blackmailing them, and all this weird financial
domination. I've seen a lot of guys. There's a lot of fetishes for it where guys really enjoy being financially dominated. Like, here's my wife's email address. Threaten me, and I'll send you $10,000. And I'm going, that's unheard of. Yeah, I'd never do that.
What about like stalkers? Do you think a lot of them have stalkers?
Yeah, I think girls and guys. Like for me, that's why obviously you have stage names and things like that. But I've rocked up one time with like signed photos in your mailbox, and I'm going, what is that? Like, how have they got my address? And please send this back. You know, here's a sealed envelope. You know, prepaid envelope. Please sign this. And I'm like. And then, like you say, you have a look at like conventions, like the AVNs and things. It's huge. You have thousands.
That's when they queue up for your autographs. And
stuff. And you have thousands of people coming from all over America, some all over the world, to meet their favourite porn star. But these guys are coming with books And I mean, like DVD covers, pictures, lingerie, please sign this, please sign that. They know the girl's whole career from her very first scene. Like, I've had guys come to me going, oh, I remember when you did that scene with Adriana Chekchik, and I'm going, yeah, which one? And he's like, oh, this one, she was wearing a blue bikini and you had such an, I'm thinking...
That's his favourite.
Yeah, and I'm thinking, I struggle to remember what I had for dinner yesterday, and you're telling me what scene, I didn't.
These people freak me out a bit because, like, for them, it becomes an obsession.
Yeah, that's the big one, and that's when you have to really worry that they take that obsession into the real world. And that, for me, like you say, in the porn side of things, it's like one thing I want to start to get into, like especially in the next, like this year, is educating, especially males, like, the university guys, like, hey guys, yeah, you might see me not wearing a condom in a scene, but I get tested every 10 days. Get yourself checked up. What you see in a scene where, a lady's getting choked or slapped or her ass, that was very American, wasn't it? Her ass spanked. These girls, we go through a big, list before of your do's and don'ts, and we have like a female liaison on set that is stating, okay, it's for the girls, safety at all times. Whenever you feel uncomfortable with any part of the scene, let your liaison know, and we make it so it's all about the woman. And that's a big thing now. But I want, especially like I said, going forward, I want like to educate guys, younger male guys now that I'm getting a bit older, like, hey guys, come on.
Yeah, I think that's a really good point, because from what I understand, at universities, as you mentioned, that's where it seems like sexual assaults and stuff like that are rife. Yeah. Because these young lads, they're full of testosterone with not a fucking clue what they're doing. They're watching a lot of porn and playing PlayStation, and they're just like, oh, I guess this is how it's done.
This is how it's done, and it's totally not like that. And it's like you're thinking they're going out on a Friday, Saturday night.
A hammered drunk.
Beard up. Girl might, make out, give a bit of fingers or whatever. And then the next thing, and they're like, oh, well, I'm going to push it as far as I can possibly go. And that's when you've got to get that consent. Well, and that's where you've got to educate guys like, hey, listen, if a girl's pushing your way in that, back off.
Well, it's not just... the thing that I've heard, the most common story that I've heard from that situation is like when women are at uni and they're drunk themselves and they kind of realise what's happening and then they say no mid-act. And the men don't stop. Yeah, those uni lads, they're just like fucking wild animals.
And that's it. And then also you got to think as well, a lot of these guys aren't bagging up.
Yep.
And that's when you start going, okay, got chlamydia from this guy, and it's like, hang on, you don't need to go. Like you said, get a checkup. Just
How often do you have outbreaks in the industry?
You know what? Not really very often. I think I've been in it coming up to 21 years. And we had one HIV shutdown, and that was just as a precaution. Like, it's very rare that you get like chlamydia, gonorrhea, and things like that in the industry, just because the girl on a Friday night that works in the porn industry isn't gonna go out sleep with anyone, because if she ends up catching something, gets a bad test, she's out of work for, let's say, 7 to 10 days. That's a lot of money she's gonna lose. So she's going, it's not worth it.
People don't look at the porn industry in such a way where it's like mechanical and like a functioning industry. We are, and I think the preconception that a lot of people have is these girls are fatherless drug addicts. Yeah. Like, and it's just that's the stigma. Yeah. How far away is that from?
So far away from this. It's crazy because obviously everybody's grown up and they think, oh, boogie nights. It's filled with drugs and mad orgies and things like that. And I'm like, I wish it's nothing like that. And I'm thinking it's nothing like that at all. It's like for a good example is like maybe 5-6 years ago, we did a Christmas dinner and we invited maybe 10-12 porn people, and they were all like European performers living in the UK, in LA. And we've done a big Christmas photo, and like we're all wearing silly onesies, Christmas jumper, trying things like that. And we posted it online. And everybody, oh, you must have had an orgy. What did you do? Naked twister and things like that. And I'm thinking, no, we had dinner. Then we had like cheese in there, and everyone got super fat. And then we played like Monopoly and stupid board games like everybody else does. Just because you do porn, you're not thinking sex all day, every day.
But then you do shag every day.
Yeah, pretty much, yeah.
And how do you keep that going? Because you're getting older.
You know what I mean? I've had grey hair since I was 13, but no, no, I don't know. For me, you could probably say, yeah, I have an addiction to it, but it's a controlled addiction, and I use that addiction for my work. So it's a healthy addiction, you could say.
Well, it is, because you've found the perfect industry for you to be in.
Yeah.
But if you ever had to have a break from porn for whatever reason.
Oh, I did. If you think about it, we had coronavirus, so we shut down for 8 months, 9 months, or whatever it was.
You must have been going up the wall.
I wasn't. My wife was. Because she was like, I can't wait for you to go back to work. Because I'm there going, babe, should we have a bit of mummy daddy time? Not tonight, no. Like, I'm thinking every night. She's like, I can't handle it, She's quite content.
Poor lass.
Yeah, I know.
Are you aware of a guy called Stephen Bear?
No. Oh, yeah.
The revenge porn guy.
I've just, because obviously I still read The Sun on the toilet. And, yeah, I've read that. Yeah.
Yeah, so he's an OnlyFans guy who used to be on reality TV.
Yeah.
And a real piece of work.
Yes.
He had this girl, uploaded it without her consent, the video where they were having sex. She's then taken him to court. He's now gone to prison for it. I just wondered what you make of that whole scenario as someone in the industry.
I'm with you, scumbag. Yeah. Like I've had the situation happen before with myself, where I've shot a scene with a girl. And we've exchanged, because we always do the model release forms, 2257s and things like that. And this was a girl brand new to the industry. She was like an Instagram girl. We've shot a scene and she's gone, let's release it, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, okay, great. And then maybe about a week or so before we went to release it, she's turned around and said, I've had second thoughts. I don't want to release it. Okay, fine, no problem. I just delete the scene. Because for me, I don't want to take that chance of ruining this girl's life, because once it's out there on the net, it's out there, and there's got to be, that's another form of consent. It's all well and good, you might have done the deed, but then if you're going to get into this posting it on platforms, you've got to have that consent of, hey, yeah, you're okay to post it, am I okay to post it, what date do you want to post it, how much do you want to post it, and things like that. So for this guy to do it, I don't know enough about it, but all I know is, like you said, he's just posted it, probably made what, 2-3 grand from it.
It was literally that, yeah.
And it's like, what?
Now he's doing 21 months in jail.
Yeah, and now his life's ruined, because he's going to come out and, I don't know.
I was also looking into one shocking story, which is the Ron Jeremy story.
Yeah.
Fascinating thing, because when I was first getting into porn as a kid, like teenage boy,
he was an idol.
He was like a huge name, and he was seeing he was one of the first porn stars who was in music videos, and like Snoop Dogg and all them with the fucking arms around him. And recently, for those who don't know, this is like a guy who'd been in for decades, has now gone to jail. He's been reported for rape, assault, all of these things. And he's like 70 years old, and he's just a little old man now in the...
From what I understand, I think it's getting dropped because they're saying he's not mentally stable to proceed with the trial. But you quote me on that one. But again, a lot of the actions that happened with the rape things was offset.
Really?
Not on set, from again, not that I know of on set, but a lot of the stories that I read was like in the Rainbow Room and places like that in LA, which was on a normal Friday, Saturday night. And I'm not condemning it, but that's not on a porn set, because on a porn set, you have maybe 10, 15 crew members, and a lot of times people will stop in and go, hey, hang on a minute, you're not doing that, that's out of order.
Do you think that's become like that because of the way things used to be?
Yeah, I think that
was it like the Wild West at one point in your lifetime?
No, I've never seen it, and that's the funny thing. I've seen hardly anything ever like that on set, and that's one of my big frustrations, because people think it must be like that on set, and I could see it being very intimidating for a girl, because especially what we've done now. Like I said, we brought in the liaison because it's a very heavy dominated industry by men. So if you're turning up to set, you may just only have the female makeup artist, but then the camera guy, 2 or 3 camera guys, all men. Lighting guys, men. Sound guys, men. Catering, men. So you might not have many females on set. So I could see it being very intimidating for a girl. So that's why Brazzers as a company said, hey, you know what? Let's have somebody there for the girl at all times. If she wants a water, if she wants a baby wipe, a straw, whatever she might want, she has a point of contact the whole time. And it's been brilliant. I think it's been a breath of fresh air in the industry for sure.
No wonder you had so much of a problem with the Lana Rhodes quotes then, because your account and her account are completely
different.
Yeah.
I've worked. I did, I think, a second or third scene, and when she said that I hated the industry, I was like, I find that quite hard to believe, because I had her on set many a times, and she was brilliant. She was an amazing performer. I'll never knock that. Maybe she had bad experiences on other sets, for sure. But everybody has bad days at the office. It could be the guy that she's working with that day, the girl that she maybe was working with that day. So yeah, she probably has had bad experiences, like we all have. But I don't think it's as bad as she probably made out. As I hated every single minute of it.
I think when women get slut shamed as well, they start sort of wanting to denounce it completely.
And like I said, she's a mother now.
Yeah.
So she probably doesn't want that, that slut shaming, which is, again, it's horrible for her to have to go through. And obviously a child's probably going to have to go through it as well. The same as mine. They're going to have to go through that traumatic experience. But all we can do as parents is be there. How many times have you seen fathers that, doctors, lawyers, teachers, whatever they are, they're married and they just leave their kids?
I don't know if it's a misogynist thought for me to have this, but I kind of feel like it's different having a father versus a mother in the porn industry. I don't know why. Maybe that's because I'm a man.
You're 100% right, because you think if you're a lad and you're going to school, oh look, here's a picture. How many times did you say mum jokes when you were younger?
Exactly. It's like a source point, isn't it?
And it's like you can really dig at people. And I can see it may be a bit easy for my lads, like, oh, your dad's had sex with all these beautiful women.
It's a bit of a flex in some
listen, I've got a bigger dick than my dad. You know what I mean? So maybe I'll insure his for 2 million. But
because he's going to be like, my dad's forgotten the names of all these women. Your dad never even had them.
Yeah, exactly. Hang on, I think my dad might know your mum. Do you know what I mean? But so I can see that's it must be hard for her. And maybe she, deep down, that's where she has her resentment from. I don't know, but we all go through different journeys.
One of the big stories that's come out recently all over Twitter, I don't know if you've seen it, is the PornHub scandal. Now, this is kind of a thing that's been going on where people have been uploading content of young people on PornHub and making money from it, and then PornHub are sort of kind of distancing themselves, and now they're coming under fire from it. Yeah,
I think from what I understand, they came under fire a hell of a lot for it. But if you go back and look at all the statistics on it, Pornhub had hardly any numbers compared to Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. I think I saw
Twitter was actually terrible for it.
Well, they had more than Pornhub and any porn site. So for me, I think it's very harsh that Pornhub were the
being
target.
held up as the target.
It's like, hey, they're the scumbags. They're the one where with Pornhub you have to now. I know, obviously, firsthand because I upload my content there. Is you have to send in your model release forms with consent, the date of birth, your passport, and everything like that. So you can't upload.
Whereas Twitter, you can upload anything.
Anybody can go, I'm going to create a Facebook account. Here you go, I'm going to upload bestiality, or I'm going to upload whatever. So for me, again, it's a big gripe where porn is the target of pedophilia and things like that, where I'm going, oh, hang on a minute. Can we look at the biggest social media platforms, and they are the biggest culprits in my eyes.
Wow, yeah, I never really thought about that. That's a great point, because I think though, you're more familiar with America than I am, how people they kind of just want to use a stick to beat the porn companies with, I guess.
Yeah, and that's the thing, and it's a frustrating one where sometimes you just wish to be left alone. we're in our own little world. We're not doing harm. We're creating content which globally people enjoy. And that's where it gets really frustrating. And it gets really, like you say, very frustrating in terms of like, hey, let's look at the big companies, because that's where the problem is really, really based. Yeah. And let's be honest, if you're an 8 to 12-year-old kid, you're not probably going on Pornhub. Your first access to social media platforms is going to be Twitter, Facebook, Snapchat, things like that, TikTok. It's not Pornhub. You're not going. If you're going to Pornhub, you're looking for porn. Where you could be a minor just scrolling through, and all of a sudden, what's that? There's no regulations on it, and that's like I said, that's a big bee in my bonnet about it. I was like, let's look that way first before we cane the porn industry. In
terms of an averagely successful female performer, what rough kind of money would a girl like that make now?
I know girls earning anywhere between 700 to $1 million a month in the industry. I know, I don't want to say average girls, but girls that don't have like the profiles of your Angelas and Riley Reeds still making anywhere between $25,000 to $40,000 a month. I know stay-home mums that are earning $40,000 to $50,000 a month, selling pictures of their toenails and things like that, which is crazy. Which, for me, I think as well, these platforms have been brilliant in terms of helping some girls get off the streets. In terms of, I've known girls that maybe were doing escorting in the past, and this platform is now opened up where, hey, I don't have to do that. I can make my money by doing solo content and things like that. And it's saved so many girls, especially, mentally, it's been brilliant for them.
In terms of the escorting thing, I always wondered, like, these girls are having sex on camera, and I'm sure that they have these big money guys approaching them.
Yep.
How often do you think that happens?
It was very common back in the day. Not so much now, because like you say, these girls can make hundreds of thousands of dollars by doing a homemade video with their boyfriend, where, let's be real, it's like a footballer. If you get put a contract in front of you to go from Sunderland to Newcastle, and they're going, we're going to pay you X amount more, you're going to take it, aren't you?
I love the analogy.
Yeah. But yeah, so that's the thing. Sometimes these girls are going, look, I'm getting offered X amount of dollars to do an escort job with, it could be a Brad Pitt lookalike. That's just, a wealthy businessman that goes, I've got a fascination with this girl. I want to see her. You recently mentioned in the podcast that you had some frustrations with how porn is becoming, I guess, racially motivated, and you mentioned like how people are getting paid differently depending on doing scenes that are interracial, for example. Yeah, that was one of my big pet peeves when I came to America. I never understood it, because working in the UK, you could be a ex-girl going to work and doing a scene with a black performer. It might be the first time you've ever been with a black guy and things like that, but you never paid any more. You were never paid any more or anything. It was just a scene. Where when I went to America, that was a big shock to me, because it was like, oh, it's an interracial scene. Well, yeah. Okay, well, I charge more for interracial. I'm like, well, why? I'm like, oh, well, the guy's got a big dick. I'm going, hang on, I'm pretty fly for a white guy myself. I've got a big old boy on me, probably bigger than... and it was the excuses, and it used to really wind me up. And it still does to this day. And to be honest, now, you don't really hear of that anymore. It's kind of died off, thankfully. Just because for me, we all bleed shit the same. You cut me open, you cut Lexington Steel open, we all bleed claret. And you're getting into directing as well, right? I've done it for 11, 12 years.
I didn't realize it was that long.
So a majority of the scenes that I perform in for Brazzers now, I direct. Okay. And
so you're charging twice for that?
Yeah, I charge a producer's rate as well. So yeah, but I love that, because I'm a nightmare. Because sometimes the director will go, I want you to do this position and that position. I'm like, no, I just want to do it my way. So now I don't really shoot for any of the other producers just because I am a princess on set. I am. That's my nickname, Princess.
That's so funny.
Yeah, it's just because I'm not doing that.
Because I'm a bit of a I'm a perfectionist with what I do, and I can only imagine what is it like for you when you're trying to build a scene in your head? Do you have almost like a mood board visually, or do you have certain camera angles that you're going for, that or the shots that the fans want to see? Are you well aware of what looks good? Or?
So for me, when I perform, and back in the day, I used to want to please everybody. And I'd be like, right, I have to get this position, that position, and that. Where now, what I do is I use the stills as a blueprint. So we always do sex stills before the actual video. So that, for me, I can go, okay, you know what? This is a good position. I can really open up here. You know what? This is a comfy position here.
What does open up mean?
Open up to the camera. So if you're doing doggy at home, you're not just going straight on. If you're doing doggy at home, you're going straight on. Where with me, I'm yoga, hip out.
Yeah, because you have to kind of bend your body to the side so that the camera can get the angle, right? That must be fucking tricky, mate.
Yeah, it is. And then you're not you're not going like that. You're going bending it like Beckham. Do you know what I mean? You're swinging it in every angle, and then you're like, okay, great. So the camera guy can see. You'll be sometimes in a scene where you'll be going at it, and the camera guy might not see, and he'll tap your leg. Or pull your leg open so they can see everything going in. But thankfully, like I said, over the years, I know all my angles, and I'm like a free kick master.
That's well drilled.
Yeah, well drilled. Put it in the top bins. But no, so that was it. But I like to say, I like to use the stills to get the map of where I'm going to go in the scene, and then also it might be in the scene where I'm going, wow, this is my dick's you know what, let's pull out some tricks, let's do a few step overs, and I'll be lifting her up, I'll be spinning her around and things like that. But if you're not 100% in a scene, if you're not 110% rock hard, you'd be going, oh, you know what, I might not try that, because you might go down in the scene and then it's up there, because then it's like, okay, cut. It's a head fuck, because all of a sudden you've got everybody watching you, and you're pulling a bit of string.
Fuck me.
Eyes are on you, people are looking at their phone, looking at the watch, playing Angry Birds, and you're like, give us a shout when you're ready. It's just the pressure.
Pressure, that, isn't it?
Yeah, that's it. Like a hurricane penalty. Fuck. And sometimes, like you say, sometimes the girl will be like, oh, do you want me to tickle your balls? Do you want me to whatever? Sometimes, if you've got Angela will be... She'll lick your bum like a stamp.
Like a stamp.
Yeah. But then sometimes your girl will be like, okay, right, she'll just get up, she'll go get her water, she'll go get her makeup touched up again. And
we all assume that you guys are chewing Viagra every single session.
No, you can't. That's a big myth as well. Everybody, you can take a Viagra and you're going to be rock hard. If you don't have that chemistry up there, down there, it's not going to work.
I like the way that is. I feel like I'm getting a boxing coach session. Yeah. Well, if your feet are wrong, the hands on it. Yeah, I mean...
There's all little tips. Yeah. Okay, so...
Because guys used to inject their dicks and stuff,
right?
Yeah,
I've seen that, and that's a bit... Yeah, not for me. I squinch when I have to get my blood drawn every 10 days. I'm like that, so I don't want a needle going anywhere near my old boy. But there's all little tricks. It's like, for example, if your feet are cold, put your socks on, because your dick's not going to get hard. Because if your feet are cold, where does the blood rush to?
Right, exactly, yeah.
It's going to bypass your dick, go, see you later, mate. There's a cold bit down there, and I'll warm them up first.
Okay. There's a lot of chat about the impact of porn on men, and I wanted to talk to you about that, because obviously, like you say, the uni lads are watching it.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of people who think men expect too much from women in the bedroom, like regular girls now. Are kind of expected to deliver.
Basically, these guys are looking at porn and they're pressurizing the girl to perform like a porn star. That's not how it should be. It's a communication thing. How do you enjoy it? Do you like this? Do you like that? Talk to your partner and things like that. You got to remember, look at mainstream movies. It's an act. Same as the porn industry. It is an act, and I'm not trying to kill the fantasy, because sometimes you do have great chemistry on set, and the scene is a genuine raw lust, brilliant sexual chemistry. But sometimes you can look at a scene and go, I've done it many a times when I've walked away from a scene and going, God, that was awful. What a bad scene.
Really?
And then I've seen people online go, wow, the chemistry you two had was out of this world. I'm thinking, are they on about the same scene?
One of the things I was thinking about was women who sort of have to then leave porn and go back to normal life, and what that must be like. Are you aware of like struggles?
Yeah. I've seen many girls. I've seen girls that were doing porn, studying to be a lawyer. Porn was paying the bills. And then she's worked so hard. She's completed everything, all her exams. She's now a qualified lawyer. Trying to get a job after that, mission impossible. And it's like, this girl's come from maybe, not a very well, solid parents, but not, a financial backing to go to university and things like that. And she's maybe not chose, you could say maybe not chose the right way, but she's turned to porn because it's a good way to make a lot of money fast. And she's done that on camera, and off camera she's worked her tits off to get where she wants to be in goal. Her end goal was to be a lawyer. She's got there. She's debt free, but now she can't get a job because of her past. And it's sad. Yeah,
that is tough. And when you're sort of, like you're selecting these girls who are just coming into the industry, what are you looking for in terms of them as a performer when you're hiring them as a director? And
the girls don't normally get to the Brazzers stage until they've done, basically worked their ways up the lower leagues and worked, with some of the smaller sites and gone, wow, she really stands out. She's a player. Yeah. And then that's when she becomes on, like, the Brazzers and things like that.
One of the things about your life that really was interesting was your relationship with your dad.
Yeah.
Do you mind talking about that?
No, not at all.
Because that was quite an emotional thing. I was like, I'm quite surprised that, I'm watching this porn interview and I'm hearing you talk about your father and I'm like, fuck me. Yeah. This is brutal.
Like, for me, I grew up and I was, again, super, super close with my old man. Like, football, that was our life. My football manager, I'd go to football with him. I'd go to watch him play football, like, I want to say 4 to 5 times a week I was with my old man. And, for me, that was my idol. And then, again, he has a brilliant job and, he ended up having an affair, left the family home. And for me, I'm very stubborn in that, and so we didn't really speak after that.
How old were you when that happened?
I'd have been 10 at the time. But then I was like, okay, great. And that was it. And that was a chapter closed in my life after that. And I think now, looking back at it, it's probably one of the best things that could ever happen, because I look at it and go, I would have never gone into porn. I would have stayed at the railway. I'd have never met my wife. I'd have never had 3 brilliant children. And it's also taught me a lesson as a parent. There's no way, cat in hell's chance, you'll ever see me turn my back on my kids. And I make sure I'm there for them 24/7. Whatever they want to do. Like, for me, I was desperate for my boy to play football. I don't want to do it, Dad. Okay, no problem. Never going to push him into something that he didn't want to do. Now he's into his football and he loves it, and I'm like, oh, this is amazing. But no, it's taught me a lot of things, that how I want to parent in the future. And one of them is never turn my back on my kids. And I was lucky. Listen, I had a mum that did the role of both. Amazing. And that's why now I live in Los Angeles. I speak to my mum 2-3 times a day. My sister lives 10 minutes down the road. I'll be, oh, you spoke to my sister? Not spoke to her this week. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. And it's crazy, but that's, again, that goes back to me where I have such a huge respect for women, which is crazy to think, when you see the profession that I do, what my respect for women is.
Yeah. Meanwhile, women are getting the most money in porn.
Yeah, they get paid more. They pull the shots. Put it this way, so if a girl can have a no list of performers she doesn't want to work with. So if you were booked with, let's say, for example, I was booked with Angela White, but Angela White didn't want to work with me, I'm the one getting replaced, not Angela White. So again, the women have like the top trump card in the industry.
It's ironic that it's arguably the industry where women are most in charge, and yet people look at it the other way.
Yeah, but I agree with it. You know, the girls put themselves through a lot. You know, a lot of wear and tear on the body. You know, literally a lot of maintenance. You know, like they want to look good and feel good on camera. So, you know, they're exercising, diet and things like that. So they're training like a top level athlete all the time. Really, you think about it.
It's fucking funny to say it, but I get what you mean.
That's right, and that's why I have a massive respect for the girls, because I'm like, you deserve to get paid X amount of dollars, because
you see those legends of porn, don't you? Like those women who've just been at it for fucking decades.
Years, and you know what? I feel bad for some of them girls, because they kind of maybe have missed the gravy train a little bit now, because let's say, I don't know, let's say probably the biggest name, Jenna Jameson.
Yeah.
She made loads back in the day, but I just think to myself, if she was in her peak now, could you imagine what she'd be earning now?
It's funny you talk about football. It's like those footballers. You kind of imagine what if he was around now. Yeah.
Look at Georgie Best. Do you know what I mean? What would it? Like,
she's the George Best.
Yeah, she's the George Best.
A little bit. She's there's quite a lot of those like sad stories where, like, I don't know if Jenna Jameson is classed as that, but like there's some of them who are like, it's sort of, that's where porn gets its bad name, I think.
Yeah, but I think as well back then, to, you know, be with a porn star was especially in like rock and roll, like it's like, oh wow. And I think maybe the girls got led down the wrong path by the mainstream side of things.
Have you had interactions with people who do like gay and trans and that sort of stuff?
Yeah, again, back in the day, it was really taboo. Yeah. You had a lot of girls that wouldn't work with guys that had done gay porn. And also you had a lot of girls that would never go anywhere near a trans performer. And over the last 4 to 5 years, it's been a massive swing. And now it's like, I work with this guy, even though he does gay porn, no problem. I do trans scene, huge seller on some of the girls' site, and I'm all for it. You know what I mean? Good on you. Like, whatever floats your boat, do what you're comfortable with. And I've seen guys that were straight, so to speak, and like, they had to put on this big, like, doing it, I'm a straight guy. Now they're doing scenes with trans girls, and they're perfectly happy, and they're like, you know what? I love the sexual freedom that I can have now, because it's not so, you know, in the closet, like, it's very taboo. And you know what? Fair play to them. Like, for me, it's not my cup of tea. I don't think I'd ever go down that route.
You've never done with a trans performer?
No, nothing. Yeah. And I don't think I would, because for me, it's not something that, again, it's all in your head. And for me, yes, you're working with a trans, but there's a lot of, what I want to say, like, a lot of unordinary things cracking on. It's like, hang on, I'm programmed this mindset of do this, do that. All of a sudden, you're throwing other things into the pot, and it's like, oh, hang on, I don't know. But it's like I said, it's just not my cup of tea.
I suppose for men though, who are trying to maybe go down the OnlyFans route, doing stuff that would please a gay male audience, I guess they're going to lean into that to get as much money as they can.
Yeah. I've seen a lot of guys do that, and I think, you know what, mate, fair play to you. You're trying to earn a living, crack on. And you know what? If you're comfortable doing it, do it. I've never been a big believer in the whole gay for pay. Don't do something that you're not happy with, because you are going to be a Lana Rhodes down the line where you regret it, and you have these built up, you know, emotions like, it disgusts me, I hate this and I hate that. For me, I've always done scenes that I've enjoyed, you know, and I can genuinely say I don't look back on my porn career with any regrets.
I like that. I mean, before we wrap this up, a lot of people will be wondering, extreme experiences that you've had, is there anything where you're just like, you look back at them and they stand out as like the most crazy days, aside from the little old lady who you
little old lady. I would say my first directing gig for Brazzers, because I've always been the joker. I play pranks on set all day, every day. And I was like, let me direct. And they're like, no, you mess around too much. I was like, right, okay, what can I do to show that I'm not? So I was like, right, I'm going to do my own scene. I'm going to direct it. I'm going to pay for it and send it in. And I called it Office Foreplay. And it was me and 4 girls. And I did like a comedy sketch on it. And it was brilliant. And I sent that one on. And then it snowballed from that. Braz was like, wow, this is really good. And I did a whole series around that. Lana Rhodes. I actually did Lana Rhodes, Riley Reid, Janice Griffin and Adra Fox in one scene. And that was like the best scene ever. But then also there was another scene that I did in the UK. And it was me and another guy with 15 girls. And the guy next to me, I'm like, I'm like Lewis Hamilton at the start. I'm like, go on, say action. And this poor lad, he's literally just, you looked at it, it looked like a frightened slug. And his head's gone. His head's gone. And you could tell he's popped Viagra, he's beetroot red, and he's like, I can't do it. I was like, what? And he's like, yeah. And he dipped.
Oh, no.
And then the director's gone, well, do you think you can do the scene on your own? I went, of course, mate. Of course. And I literally went through I was like, you remember Supermarket Sweep? I was like that.
No Dale Winton with this one.
No Dale Winton on this one, but I had a bit of an orange tan. But yeah, I went through all 15. So that was like, yeah, I did 15.
What, are they all bending over and you're just one after the other? Or what? How does this work?
It was a medieval table like this. All leg.
You're giving us ideas now.
There you go. All in a medieval, like
Game of Thrones type stuff.
Kind of, yeah. And all the girls would just lay on the back. I'm like, I'm living the dream here.
How tired are you after running like that? Are you like, I'm fucking? Are you?
I can be knackered.
Yeah.
But it's like I said now. I plan a lot of my scenes around, like the footy. I'm 40
no way.
And I still play like back home. And I play 3 times a week.
I'll leave you with one question because I like to ask everybody this. How would you like to be remembered?
As a Derby legend. Simple.
I really like that. Yeah. That is a fucking belter. All right, son. What a chat that was, and definitely not the norm for the True Geordie podcast, but I really enjoyed it. Thank you to Kieran Lee. You can follow him. He is everywhere, all over Instagram, the lot. Magic. And I'm sure you'll be putting out great content.
I'll keep ploughing away, mate. Yeah. Ploughing away.
How many years you got left, you reckon? Performing? At the top level.
I'm like Ronaldo till I get transferred out to Saudi.
I don't think that'll be happening.
No.
All right, cheers. And don't forget to stay subscribed to the True Geordie YouTube channel. We'll see us on the next one. Thanks.
Magic.
Thank you so much, brother.
Mate, that was brilliant.
Loved it.